My girlfriend laughed and said, "I've been rating you 3 out of 10 in our girls group chat for months." I just smiled, told her thanks for the information, and later posted our breakup with screenshots. Within minutes, her friends were flooding my phone with apologies. I, 27 male, was sitting in a busy bar last Friday night, having drinks with my girlfriend Cassie, 25, and her group of friends. We had been together 14 months, and while our relationship wasn't perfect, I truly believed it was steady, comfortable, and heading somewhere real. Cassie had her third margarita, and the moment that drink hit her system, she became loud, giggly, and way too honest for her own good. Her friend Brooke made some silly comment about rating men, and Cassie suddenly burst into laughter, leaning back in her chair as if she had just heard the greatest joke ever told. Then she said the sentence that froze the entire table in shock. "Oh my God. Like how I've been rating Ethan a 3 out of 10 in our chat for months." Every single face around the table stiffened. The noise of the bar continued, but within our small circle, there was a heavy silence I could physically feel pressing against my chest. I just took a slow sip of my beer and replied calmly, "Thanks for telling me." Cassie's expression shifted instantly. One second she was drunk and happy. The next second her eyes went wide with panic as she realized what she had said. She tried to laugh it off, but her voice cracked. "Babe, I was joking." I looked her in the eyes and asked, "Which part? The rating or the months?" She tried to explain it away, saying it was just harmless girl talk, something everyone did. But as I looked around the table, her friends couldn't even meet my eyes. Brooke was staring at her napkin like it contained ancient prophecies. Jade was texting under the table like her life depended on it. Mira even looked up at me and silently mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." And that alone told me everything I needed to know. I finally said, "Cool. Well, I'm going to head out." Cassie rolled her eyes and accused me of being dramatic, but I just stood up, placed $40 on the table for my drinks, and walked away without another word. Cassie rushed after me into the cool evening air, her heels clacking against the pavement as she tried to catch up to me. She asked if I was seriously angry over something she claimed was just a stupid game. I turned to her and said, "You've been mocking me to your friends for months. That's not a game. That's cruel." She quickly insisted that the rating system was actually about boyfriend potential, not about me as a person. That somehow made it even worse. I asked what my score was based on, and after a long pause, Cassie finally admitted it was judged on income, looks, bedroom performance, social status, and future potential. Hearing that was like getting punched in the stomach. She even tried to downplay it by saying the scale was harsh and even Leonardo DiCaprio would only get a 7. I just looked at her and said, "So I'm worth less than half a Leonardo DiCaprio then?" She freaked out, accusing me of twisting her words. But she had already said enough. Without saying another word, I pulled out my phone, opened Instagram, and started typing. Cassie's voice went sharp as she asked what I was doing. I told her I was breaking up with her. She screamed that I couldn't break up with her over Instagram, but I looked her in the eyes and said, "Watch me." Then I posted a simple message, "Single again. Apparently I've been a 3 out of 10 boyfriend for months according to my now ex's group chat. For anyone interested, I rate being single a solid 10 out of 10. I tagged her, hit post, and then walked toward my car while her phone began buzzing like it had come to life. She called me every name she could think of, but I just looked at her and said, "I'm a 3 out of 10 apparently. Have a good night, Cassie." Then I drove home without looking back. By the time I reached home, my phone was exploding. I woke up the next morning to 237 notifications. Cassie had sent 43 messages ranging from begging me to talk to her, to calling me pathetic, to apologizing, to blaming me for ruining her life, and then back to begging again. But what surprised me most was the messages from her friends. They were apologizing, saying they had told Cassie it was wrong, claiming they never participated. Even Brooke said the entire rating thing was Cassie's idea. And then Mira sent the screenshots that made my stomach turn. These weren't just simple ratings. Cassie had written paragraphs about all the things she considered wrong with me. She said I'd never make real money because my job was basic, even though I'm a physical therapist and make a good, honest living helping people recover from injuries. She said our intimacy was boring because I was too respectful. She complained that I wore the same 5 shirts, even though they were clean, fitted, and professional. She even mocked my friends, calling them nerds and saying game night was social suicide. And the worst part, she had screenshot my most private conversations, including one where I shared my anxiety after my dad's cancer diagnosis. Under that one, she wrote, "Daddy issues alert." I felt physically sick reading those words. But then I saw something else. She had been rating another guy, her work friend Theo, a 9 out of 10. The same Theo she swore was just a friend. The same Theo whose Instagram stories she always viewed immediately. My chest tightened. My hands were shaking. And in that moment, I realized Cassie had never seen me as her partner, just as someone to criticize, rank, and mock. I posted the screenshots to my story with the caption, "For anyone wondering why we broke up, this is who she really is." Within minutes, my DMs exploded. The fallout began almost immediately, and the speed at which everything collapsed around Cassie was almost unreal to watch. First came the chaos in her own life, starting with Theo, the work friend she had so fondly given a 9 out of 10. It turned out that Theo had a girlfriend named Isla, and when Isla saw my post, she started digging deeper, connecting dots, checking Instagram stories, messages, and patterns she had been ignoring. Within hours, she discovered that Cassie and Theo had been having lunch dates and after-work drinks for months behind her back. Isla broke up with Theo on the spot and even sent me a message thanking me for accidentally exposing everything because it helped her see the truth she had been avoiding for too long. Cassie, of course, tried to do damage control. She posted a long, dramatic paragraph online claiming that I had violated her privacy, that I was emotionally abusive for sharing personal conversations, and that I was trying to destroy her reputation. But nobody believed her. The screenshots showed everything clearly. Her coworkers saw them too, including people connected to her profession. Her networking page had over 800 followers, many of whom commented things like, "This is unprofessional," and "Now so many things make sense." Even her boss followed her accounts, and he saw every single thing. Her carefully built image crumbled overnight. But what happened next was almost like watching a social explosion. A massive implosion inside her friend group. Mira sent me more updates, and apparently, this rating system was not something Cassie had started recently. She had been doing it for 2 full years, rating every guy they dated and even rating other girls' looks and lives. She gave Jade's boyfriend a 2 and wrote, "I don't know how she stands looking at him." When Jade discovered that, she completely broke down and confronted Cassie. That friendship ended in seconds. Then Brooke learned that Cassie had rated her ex a 9 and wrote, Brooke fumbled hard. "I would have locked that down." That friendship also died immediately. Soon, every girl in the group discovered something horrible Cassie had written about them. Old screenshots came out. Secrets spilled. Arguments erupted. Years of friendships ended over a viral rating system and a few drinks too many. Their group chat turned into a full war zone overnight. And then Cassie's sister Emma reached out to me. She apologized on Cassie's behalf and said their parents were absolutely horrified. Emma told me Cassie had done the exact same thing to a previous boyfriend in college, ranking him, mocking him, and sharing his private struggles in her group chat back then too. It became clear that this behavior was a pattern, not an accident. And when someone found old tweets from 2019 where Cassie called herself a 10 out of 10 catch who was too good for most guys, the internet went wild. People ratioed her so hard that one person commented, "Ma'am, you're a 3 out of 10 human being, and that's me being generous." Even I had to admit that was brutal. But she had created a storm and was now unable to escape it. A few days later, Cassie showed up at my apartment looking like a completely different person. Her usually perfect makeup was smudged. Her hair was in a messy bun, and she wore sweatpants, something I had never seen her wear in public before. She looked exhausted, scared, and completely defeated. She asked if we could talk, and I let her have a few minutes because I wanted closure for myself. She told me she had been fired from her job because the screenshots showed a pattern of poor judgment and a hostile attitude toward coworkers. I told her that it was not my responsibility to fix the damage she created herself. She cried harder, saying Theo wouldn't speak to her. Her friends hated her. Her parents were disgusted. And even her therapist told her she needed to take accountability for the first time in her life. She tried apologizing, saying she never meant the things she wrote, that people vent with friends when they feel overwhelmed. But I told her that 14 months of mocking me wasn't venting. It was who she really was. Then she tried a different angle, reminding me of when we first met at Devon's party, saying I once told her she was the most beautiful girl there. I replied calmly, yes, and you apparently thought I was a 3 out of 10 the entire time. She tried arguing that the scale didn't measure everything, but when I asked what it measured, she named every important part of a relationship: income, appearance, intimacy, status, and future potential. I told her that according to her own words, I failed at everything. And that was when her mask finally fell completely. She snapped and said the real truth, that I was boring, my job was mediocre, I dressed like a dad, my idea of fun was playing board games, and the intimacy was forgettable. She even added that she settled for me because she thought I would be grateful to have someone like her. Hearing those words was painful, but weirdly, it brought me peace. Her cruel honesty set me free. I told her thank you for the truth and ordered her to leave. She backtracked, saying she didn't mean it, but I knew she did. And for the first time in months, I felt nothing but relief as she walked out the door. Before leaving, she told me that I would never find someone as good as her. I actually laughed out loud. I told her I had already been on 3 dates that week and that plenty of women appreciated a kind, steady, respectful guy with a stable job and a real heart. The shock on her face was priceless. The universe, funny enough, had more surprises waiting. Isla, Theo's ex, reached out to me again with a thank you message. We met for coffee, which turned into a long conversation and then into dinner the following night. We agreed to take things slow, but everything about her was refreshing. She was honest, communicative, and gentle in a way I had forgotten people could be. She even told me that she thought physical therapists were heroes because I had helped her mom recover from surgery a year ago. Life works in strange circles sometimes. Asterisk. Then the whole Cassie situation exploded on TikTok. Someone made a video explaining everything with screenshots, and it hit over 2 million views. The comments were harsh but accurate. People mocked her for rating her boyfriend while being unemployed. Others said she was calling me vanilla, while she considered Theo from accounting her version of spicy. She became a meme overnight, and a trend started where people rated absurd things like, my goldfish is a 3 out of 10. Doesn't pay rent, but at least he's honest. Cassie had to delete every single social app because she couldn't handle the attention. She moved back in with her parents because she couldn't get a job. Even local managers Googled her and declined her applications. Her friend group completely fell apart, with Brooke moving to another city, Jade starting therapy, and Mira apologizing to me repeatedly while reevaluating her own behavior. One afternoon, I even got a call from Cassie's mother. This sweet woman sounded heartbroken as she apologized on behalf of her daughter. She told me they never raised Cassie to be cruel and that they were praying for my dad's health. She told me her husband thought I was 10 out of 10 son-in-law material, and I actually got emotional hearing that. Sometimes validation comes from places you least expect. Eventually, Cassie sent me one last email. It was long, full of reflection, and honestly seemed like real growth. She admitted she had deep insecurities, that the rating system made her feel superior, that she sabotaged our relationship because she believed she wasn't good enough and assumed I would leave first. I believed parts of it. Maybe she truly was trying to change. I wrote back a short note saying I was glad she was getting help and wished her well, but told her not to contact me again. She respected that. Meanwhile, my life slowly became beautiful again. Isla and I became official, and she even gifted me a mug that said 3 out of 10 King on it. My friends held a 3 out of 10 party, where everyone wore purposely bad clothes and we played board games all night. I even received a promotion at work because my mediocre job actually valued me. Theo tried messaging me to clear the air, but I ignored him completely. Mira ended up dating one of my nerdy friends from game night, and they looked like they were made for each other. My Instagram blew up from 200 to 15,000 followers, and a dating app even contacted me wanting to use my story for an advertisement about real relationships, which I politely declined. But the most important thing I gained was confidence. I spent more than a year thinking I was lucky to have Cassie, thinking she was doing me a favor by being with me. Finding out she thought I was beneath her was upsetting. Yes, but it was also liberating. I realized that I was the same person as before. Same job, same clothes, same friends. But now I knew my worth came from who I was, not from someone else's harsh scale. I learned that I am a good person, a supportive partner, and a man of integrity. And I learned that nobody gets to decide my value except me. To anyone reading a story like this or going through something similar, please remember that you are not someone else's rating. You are not a number on a thoughtless scale. You are a whole human being who deserves respect, kindness, and love that doesn't come with judgments or rankings. Don't stay with someone who sees you as settling. Don't let anyone reduce your worth to a score. And Cassie, if you somehow read this, and someone probably will show it to you, I truly hope life treats you better. I hope therapy helps you grow. I hope you learn to see people as more than numbers. And most of all, I hope you learn to see yourself as more than a number too, because that's probably where all of this truly started. Thanks for following this wild ride. I'm off to live my magnificent 3 out of 10 life now. And for the record, Layla rates our relationship 11 out of 10, would recommend to a friend.